Thank you, Dr. Leila, for this introduction and also for introducing actually the APCG. It's really, I'm very happy actually to see the presentation, especially the video. I was planning to give an example about UBT in terms of innovation in education, but I believe the video has already presented that. Maybe we can highlight it during my presentation. So I'm Dr. Basma El Zain. I'm the Director General of the Techno Valley here at the university. So we help entrepreneurs, innovators to transfer their ideas to the industry. So this is actually what's coming next after you participate in this hackathon. Even if you didn't win the first place, still, if there is a potential impact on the economy and the society, we will be more than happy to incubate your ideas, to support you, to move with you to the next step. So I'm going to cover three main topics today. The first one is going to be the innovation education, actually why we have selected this theme for the Gifthone. And the second part, we're just going to give you a flavor about what is design thinking. Then we're going to move to the last part before you start your presentation, which is the framework of the Gifthone. So let's start with the innovation in education. Now, think about your education journey and think about it before COVID and after COVID. What happened? Major changes, right? Like what? Quarantine. During this quarantine, how education was affected? You were online. Was it easy for you to start to study online? Did you face challenges? What were those challenges? Can you give me some examples? Yes?
So back in quarantine, the online sessions were a majorly new thing for most, if not all of us. So the struggle of us to cooperate or to, get used to a totally new environment that we were not used to, that was one of the major struggles in education that time.
Great. Other challenges? Yes?
I think one of the things that quarantine took from us, especially those of us who were in high school at the time, losing the opportunity to connect with your teachers, your fellow classmates, I think that was one of the main challenges.
So the human communication, the human interaction, that's great. What else? What other challenges? So what was the best? Because you were staying at home.
Attending at home.
Great. So do you attending from home, but still you were losing from another perspective. Always there is like advantages and disadvantages. So what exactly helped you to move on during COVID? Was technology a challenge? Okay, we have Mariam who wants to share something with us. Mariam Al-Umari, next gen.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Self-learning. Yes, self-learning help us to went through this hard time.
Can you repeat, please?
Yes, self-learning.
Great.
Yes, help us to went through this hard time.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I believe this is, yeah, what else? What did you say? Okay. So, so during COVID, actually, the use of technology was not a struggle for you, right? Because you were already familiar with the use of these technologies. Your access to knowledge, was it difficult? Yes? During that time, was it difficult to access knowledge? I mean, in terms of information? No. But what was the challenge? with the information or with the knowledge. It's how to understand it, right? How to use it, where to use it. So actually, was the vision of the UNESCO 2030. You know what is the UNESCO, right? It's the UN organization that is in charge of education, science, and culture. So they had put a vision. They noticed that during these challenges, access to knowledge is not a problem. Everyone can Google. At that time, right now, we have additional tools, with the AI, with ChatGPT and many others. So it's much easier even to access information. But the validity of this information, to verify if this information that I received is correct or wrong, or how and where this can be used, this is what we need. So UNESCO put a vision about education, that the education system has to be transformed. It shouldn't stay as it is, because the access to knowledge is easy and it can be accessed by everyone all over the world right now. True, there are some areas that are still underserved, but still they can access to information. But what we need today is the skills, the competencies. So that's why we need to reframe the education system from all perspective within the vision of education of the UNESCO 2030. And all the countries all over the world are working toward that. And for sure, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is leading actually these changes. So the vision is actually about the inclusion. So everybody should get education, should be included in the process, should have access to any type of education that people are looking for, and equitable also access. So it's going to be available to everyone, regardless of the gender, regardless of their, where are they coming from, their religion, their background. So everybody have the right, even the people with special needs, they still have the privilege and have the right to access this information or this knowledge or this education. And for sure, your colleague Mariam mentioned the lifelong learning, self-learning. So learning doesn't stop. And this is where the idea of innovation education, actually, regardless, the giftedness came. And we thought about it. Why don't we really see how our students or our society can really innovate in education and help to make this transformation from what we call it, the traditional or the conventional education system, into a very creative, innovative, that's really focused on the competencies and skills, because by 2027, even before 2030, everybody is expecting students to graduate with what we call it competencies portfolio, not knowledge portfolio. So what are your skills? This is what you have to reflect on your CV. What are the training, the workshops that you went through in order to reach these skills and to have these skills in a really mature level, not just as an introduction level, not as just also theoretical level. We want it to be applied and embedded in your personality. So these skills that you acquired during your educational system. So lifelong learning, sustainable development. Everybody's talking today about sustainable development. You heard about the UN SDGs, right? We're going to talk about them also, and how to be innovative in education, and for sure, how can we support and govern the process of education. So the kingdom, as I just mentioned, is really leading. I attended 2 years ago a UNESCO's high-level session, and we have ministers of education from different countries from all over the world. They all commend what the kingdom is doing in terms of education. They were saying that they never see a country that is leading this change, that they, within the objectives of the education system or the education vision of the UNESCO, market-driven programs, focusing on self-learning, lifelong learning. So we are leading the world. So what about internally and nationally? And I believe that all the universities and the schools in the kingdom are doing the same. UBT, as an example, is really empowering also education and is leading this change by developing skills, by capacity building, by really supporting with all the education, or actually participating in the ecosystem of education in the kingdom, within the facilities, the pedagogy, the resources that they are also offering to their students. And for sure, we are all contributing to create a knowledge-based economy. So this is what we are working on in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, let's go back to the UN SDGs. Okay, we have 17 SDGs. Now, these SDGs, they are not isolated, they are interrelated. And I would like to share with you my personal, perspective regarding the link between these SDGs. These SDGs varies from poverty to hunger, to health and well-being, energy, water, peace, partnership, innovation. What if we see it in a different way, from a different angle? And I'm going to give you my personal perspective in this. Can we move to the next slide? Okay, now, if we innovate and partner, and this is actually what you're doing, you are partnering with your friends, maybe within the same university, from the same class, maybe from a different major, from a different university, from a different also country, from a different city, you are partnering and you are innovating. What can we do but once we partner and we are creative and innovative? We can build a good planet. We can build the real infrastructure that every single person on the earth can have. We can work on water, on energy, on climate, sustainable cities, etc. Right? So once we partner properly and we innovate, if we partner and innovate and we build really a good planet and a good infrastructure, what can we do right now? We can build people. So we can focus on human beings. We can focus on the capacity building, quality of education, zero hunger, equality, reducing inequalities, etc. Right? So we start from the bottom again. Partnering and innovation. We build a good infrastructure and good planet. Then we can build people and their capacity. Then once we have all of this, we can prosper. So this is where we impact the economy and the society. And finally, we can live in peace. So it's just reorganizing these SDGs in a different way, in different levels, so that we can see that you are all actually contributing to the top, to peace. And for sure to the infrastructure at the first layer, then the people and prosperity that will lead to prosperity and finally peace. So you can imagine your important role that you are currently playing, not only at the level of the Gifthone, but also national level and also the global level. You are making this contribution. Next. Okay. So in order to be innovative in education, we thought about, okay, let's take an educational ecosystem. We know that an education is composed of a faculty, student, right? We need to have a classroom. We need to have a healthy building, a green building exposed to the sun. We have the right infrastructure. The system is automated. We are also making sure that the consumption of electricity is moderate. We have good also waste management system, right? What else we need for a student to be happy at a university or a school? You need to have a support system. From which perspective? Family and school, that's right. What else? What do you need? You need a good classroom, a nice classroom, maybe sophisticated like this one, hybrid, right? What else? you need to have the good material and the right material, right? So this is the resources that you are actually in need of. What else? The right way of transferring the knowledge from the faculty to the student. As we said, the way of accessing this information and also understanding and grasping all the information that you are receiving. So it's a complete ecosystem. So we divided it actually into 4 pillars. How to be innovative in education is actually within 4 pillars. The first one is the student and faculty. So this is the human core. How can we be innovative with the well-being, with the quality of education, with the good health, with the gender inequality, with the equalities, and for sure the peace. So what we have done is we linked each pillar to the SDGs to reflect how we are achieving these SDGs. So for example, if your innovative idea is within the human core, you are serving one of these 5 SDGs, like SDG 3 or 4, 5, 10, and 16. If the second part is the infrastructure, the environment, the infrastructure, we need a green building, we need a good energy, maybe we need to work on solar energy, water treatment, waste management, etc. So all of this, it's the infrastructure that we need. Again, we are serving a certain number also of SDGs like SDG 6, the water, the energy, the smart cities, and the climate change. Then from the pedagogical perspective, which is the quality of education, you need quality of education, right? So it's also related to 3 SDGs like the SDG 4, which is quality of education, peace, and for sure partnership. And finally, the resources and materials. So 4 pillars were selected for this Gifthone. And this is where we are looking for really creative, disruptive ideas to make the change in these 4 pillars. So in conclusion, innovation in education is not just about technology that we are using. It's really about how also we are doing this link between what we are actually doing to the SDGs, to the Sustainable Development Goals, and also for sure the Kingdom's Vision 2030. We need to ensure that our ideas are globally relevant and nationally strategic. And by the way, these 45 ideas that were shortlisted, we can assure you that they are in this direction within that. They are really globally relevant and nationally strategic. That's why they were shortlisted. So the challenge, the Gifthone, is not just an opportunity to reimagine the education. It's where you are not just a learner, but also a partner and creator of a new education system that will really lead to a better future. So this is the first part of my presentation. I will give you a few minutes if you have any questions, and then we can move to design thinking. Any question? Okay, great. Online, do you have any question? Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you. Let's move to the second part of this presentation, which is actually an introduction to design thinking. Is this working now? Yeah. Okay, I will start by telling you a story. First of all, do you know what is design thinking? Do you heard about it before? Some of you? All of you? None? No? You're the only one? Okay, I will start with a story. There was a challenge, actually. People noticed that in some areas from the world, the one in brown, actually, there is a very high rate of mortality for newborn babies. And they were worried. What's the problem? Why newborn babies were directly or actually died directly after being born by 2-3 days, where they were born healthy, some of them may be premature, but still they can live if they receive the right medical treatment. So they noticed that they have to find a solution. Okay, this is really a big, alarm that needs to be solved. So they brought innovators from all over the world to compete and to find what's the problem and to find a solution. So those innovators like you, they traveled and they observed. What did they notice? They noticed that babies, once they are born, they have to stay in the incubators. But the problem in these areas is that moms are so attached to their babies and they cannot leave them. So, in addition to being afraid from this horrible machine that is holding their kids, their babies actually. So, they have to they went and talked to those moms, asking them what's the problem. They said that this is a monster, the incubator. We don't accept it. Our kids have to stay with us, close to our body, in our hands. And this was actually the problem, because they didn't accept that an infant stays in the incubator. So taking them out of the incubator actually was a risk. And that was the reason behind the high rate of mortality. So they have to find a solution, right? So by sitting with those moms and understanding what's happening and, having really observing their feelings towards their kids, they sat together and they proposed many ideas. The best idea that won was actually a very simple blanket that the mom can hold it in her hands. So her baby is right now safe and it's close to her heart. It's close to her and she's holding him in her arms. This idea actually, or this solution, was based for sure on lots of research, because you have to take the medical perspective into consideration. They need to consult with doctors, but at the end, they came up with a very creative solution, very simple, and was acceptable to the moms because they were holding them in their blankets. It was easy for them. So this was the creative solution that those innovators came up with to solve a real world problem. So it's not only a simple problem, but a real world problem. So usually the design thinking, before I go to the steps, it's about always you have a pain. You have a challenge that you personally face, and always creative ideas come from personal pain. So you transform pain into opportunities. And this is what you have to do. I know that maybe the education is not a pain, but for sure these challenges that you are personally facing, and we noticed that actually it was reflected even in your applications, that these challenges from your personal challenge that you face in daily life, right? So what we can learn from this, first of all, to summarize the process, what happened is that, first of all, those innovators came and talked to those moms to understand what's the problem. So they noticed that those moms are afraid of these incubators. Really, they were considered them as monsters. They didn't accept their kids, their babies to be there. So it was not just a medical, but also emotional problem. So those mothers fearing being separated also from their newborn babies. So this actually goes under what we call it empathy. So the first phase of design thinking is empathy. So you need to come close to your client, to your customer, to understand the problem, the challenge that they are facing, to feel with them, to observe their daily, exposure to this challenge, to this problem. And then what did they do? They start to reframe the problem. So they define. This is the second phase of design thinking. Define. So they define the problem, saying that how to keep babies warm and at the same time close to their moms. So it's become a human-centered challenge, not just a technical challenge. And this is actually what also we are facing, because always humans have to interact and have to use your solutions. So the solution was to ideate. So the next step was to ideate, came up with creative, disruptive ideas. But which one is really close to reality and can be implemented? This is the one that we have to shortlist and to select. So we need to select always the most optimized solution or idea that can be easily implemented. So thinking about portable incubators, heating blankets, wearable wraps so that the mom can keep them close to her. So the winning idea was really a portable sleeping bag, like an incubator with a heat pouch and simple, affordable, and mother-friendly design. So after we have an idea, what should we do? We need to prototype and test, right? So the prototypes have to be designed and developed and tested in real hospitals and rural clinics, and to see the interaction of the moms, if they accepted it or not. And then you can move afterward to the real world and start to commercialize it and recommend it to be used. So the key takeaways from this story is that this story actually illustrates really the process of design thinking. So it's not just about the technology, it's always about empathy-driven innovation. So you have to go through all the phases, listen with empathy, redefine the problem, create human-centered ideas, prototype simply, make it as simple as possible, and then test it in real world in order to save life. So in summary, the design thinking process starts with empathy, then the second one, what was it? Define, after ideate, then prototype, and finally test. Perfect. So this is a brief introduction about design thinking. If you have any question, I want to also tell you another story, but any questions before? And this is, by the way, a real story. Huh? Okay, let me tell you the other story. 2 months ago, I met a refugee, actually. She was actually hosted in a country. And when she left her country and moved to the safe place, she noticed that all the refugees in that country are facing one problem, which was the depression. You know, they were always, they want to go back to their countries. They are facing, these mental and these emotional feelings toward their own home. So what she have done, from the pain that she was noticing in her family, in her neighbors, with her friends, she had came up with an idea. She's a computer engineer. So she thought about it. Okay, what do those refugees need? They need empathy. They need people to listen to them. They need, I don't want to just call them like psychologists, but they need someone that they can talk to just to listen to them, to hear their pain. So she came up with an idea to develop something that she called it the peace therapist. It's a platform for refugees all over the world, wherever, it doesn't matter which country. Provided services in different languages. Not in English, not only in Arabic, not in French, not in Russian, whatever the language is, different languages, where refugees can talk to people who can advise them what to do, who can listen to them. So it was a platform. Currently, she's right now improving it, and she's adding AI tools to it to make it more accessible and to serve even better. But at the beginning, it was just a platform to put people in connection so that they can talk, they can, feel better. And sometimes if they need therapists, they will find it. So what she did is that she saw the pain and she tried to find a solution to overcome this pain. So this is where we are transferring pain into opportunities. Always think about it in that way. Okay? This is again a real story. Any other question? Okay, thank you very much. Before I give the floor right now to Dr. Leila, so can we just go back to the 4 pillars? And I know that your applications were within these 4 pillars. So Dr. Leila, right now, I think we have to give them the floor to present their disruptive ideas that we are all proud of. Thank you very much. And we're looking forward to moving to the next step.